So to jump right into it, how did your heart attack last year change your perspective on your life?
Oh, well, I mean, I guess, yeah, I think it just made me stop and reflect and understand, where I was and that I needed to do some certain things different. That it was a real education. I'm fortunate that, I was able to, I guess, run into, the doctors that I did, have them, kind of point me in the right direction as far as, lowering my bad cholesterols and whatever lifestyle changes I needed to make. And just getting on this side of it. It's been a year ago now, just about, and it just so happened that in that process, I learned that Amgen was doing this documentary, The Making of a Heart Attack, and was able to be a part of that. So in the process of me, sort of, healing and recovering, learning that Amgen was doing this project and interacting and meeting some of the other individuals who've had, who've dealt with heart attack and stroke, relatively speaking, it's been a pretty important and informative and encouraging process to meet people, heart health advocates who have foundations who bring awareness for people, and that I guess turning the negative into a positive.
You mentioned how you had to make some changes after the fact. What are some of those changes you made?
Following doctor's advice, meeting with doctors, understanding, okay, what does it mean to have bad cholesterol and high LDL-C levels, and what some, and then and then some people just have hereditary risk factors, right? It's not something they're doing wrong, whatever. You don't have to be extremely overweight or in you don't have to be in an older demographic. But for me, it was, just understanding how to attack high LDL-C levels. Some of the things that I'm also doing, a little more walking, probably not eating as much. And so things like that have all helped me.
And you mentioned how it doesn't always have to be something you're doing wrong. It could be running in your family. What other kind of misconceptions have you sort of noticed about heart disease since you've gotten sort of diving headfirst into this topic?
Well, I mean, the only way to know is one, to talk to your doctor and ask them about testing for LDL-C, but and also what I've learned and surprised me is that doesn't really matter, like, what your demographic, I guess. It could strike anywhere, right? Some of these victims are in their 30s, and and that it could be passed down, passed down, and from parent to child is something that was also pretty surprising.
And as far as making this documentary, can you tell me how that experience is like? Have you ever done something like that before? And like how has this kind of changed your perspective on the whole issue?
And I made a documentary before, but nothing quite like this, where I'm really sharing with other individuals in that way. Sharing about something like this powerful, it's just, it just makes you reflect, and but it's been very educational. It's encouraging, even though you're talking about heart disease and strokes. It's encouraging to see what some people have done on the other side of these incidents, and to see how motivated they are, and just how strong of they are with advocacy and heart health awareness. And so hopefully people will go to attackheartdisease.com/test, find out more about it, and hopefully they'll be willing to have those conversations with their doctor, about being tested for bad cholesterol, or LDL-C levels.
And speaking of, like sharing the experience with people, have you gotten to talk to your peers in the NFL community about this?
I've talked to a few guys about it. I've talked to a few guys about it. I'm just kind of starting on that journey as far as advocacy work. I've been, hoping that, many people will watch the documentary, including, those like me who are retired NFL or current NFL or whatever the case may be, because everyone has someone they're connected with who's been touched and impacted by heart disease and stroke.
Right. And, speaking of like, the NFL in general, not just as I have to be about heart disease, but what do you think about the league's player and health safety initiatives in general, whether it be, any kind of issue?
Oh yeah, I mean it's been greatly improved over the last few years, right? I mean, whether you're talking about sort of on-field stuff, with certain things that you can and can't do, roughing the passer or lowering your head or the equipment, the helmet. You see all the new helmets that they have, that have player safety in mind. The number of days you can practice. You don't 2 days aren't the same. I mean, there's any number of things that the NFL has done to make the game safer for the players. The way they deal with concussions and head injuries and things like that. So, I mean, there's many things they've done. The game is certainly safer today than it has been, and I know they're continuing to look for ways to continue to make it safe.
And do you feel like, in terms of today's era, do you feel like they're a lot more, I don't want to say caring, but just more proactive about those health measures than when you were playing?
The comparison, from when I played, there's really very little comparison. I mean, when you look at just how, to use your phrase, how proactive they are in the health of players. I mean, it's not even close. So we have to apply the league for what they've done. I know that great care is taken to always look at ways to make the game safer. And like I pointed out just a few minutes ago, all the things on and off the field, practice and in game that they've done to make it safer. So yeah, I mean they can certainly be proud of that. And as a fan, as and a former player, I respect it. And being that I work with the Lions, and I think you look at how popular the game is. You look at the product on the field, and it's still the most popular game out there.